What is up, everybody? Welcome to Anime on Draft, episode 177. I'm your host this week, Rolando, joined by Mark, Alec, and Drew, the Mad Lads.
The Mad
We're
Lads.
here.
Did you get that?
That was good. That was good. How did we never think about that before? Is that the first time?
I think
First
so.
time hearing it. Nice. Nice.
But
Well done.
anyways, this week we've got a few fall shows to cover, some news about upcoming series and manga, and a couple of, well, I guess they're not both winter beers, but you guys, Mark and Alec, have a winter beer, and I just have a normal stout. Well, I guess it's a milk stout. But anyways, other than that, our weekly pairing covers episodes 5 and 6 of Kimi ni Todoke. But first, let's introduce these beers. So I have the Victory Java Latte Cold Brew Milk Stout. So I guess it's not just a regular stout. It's a limited
Be up
release
all night,
milk
boy.
stout. It's an
Yeah.
8.2%. You can see it's kind of dark. The head did not stay very long. But Mark, Alec, what is the beer you have?
Had to get my beer book.
We got the Bell's Christmas Ale. It's a Scotch ale.
Scotch.
Yep.
With a Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree.
Very
dude.
festive. Very festive.
Very,
Very
I
festive
don't.
Christmas
I need to ask you guys your take on that. You know, is it Christmas time already? We haven't even
Apparently.
gotten
Gotta
to
wait.
Thanksgiving.
For some
You gotta
people.
wait till
They're
the
playing Christmas
day
music now.
after Thanksgiving. That is the law in my house. But
That's your lot, huh?
Yeah, not here. Because
everywhere
literally
else.
the day after Halloween is when everyone starts throwing up the Christmas.
Blasting
Yep.
Christmas music at
Yeah.
Target.
They're-
I've already
they
seen
just
Christmas
forget-
lights up.
They forget about Thanksgiving. Like that, the month of November doesn't exist.
It's pre-Christmas.
That's
That's
fair.
right.
Pre-December is what it is.
Thanksgiving, the holiday itself is like kind of barbaric because of like the actual history behind it. But it's like the best holiday because you just eat.
Just eat and eat.
It's a holiday about eating.
Eat
I love
like
food.
good, like hearty foods too, and pie.
Yeah.
It's like
you save a bunch of money.
I don't know why I don't
You
eat
spend a
pie
bunch
the rest
now
of
and
the
you have
year.
food for 3 months.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the holiday of eating so much food that you pass out immediately afterwards.
Yep.
Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah. What's not to like about that?
Right?
Yeah.
What's not to like about that?
But anyways, now that we've got these two beers introduced, why don't we move on to our Orishiri, Kimi ni Todoke, episodes 5 and 6. So, I guess the main problem that we are seeing in the show is Sawako, Yoshida, and Yano kind of don't know where their relationships stand with one another. And there's a bunch of rumors being spread, and someone is spreading these rumors saying that Sawako is kind of, I guess, just using Yano and Yoshida, and they're all so having these misunderstandings where they don't even understand, or they don't even let each other finish, right? So that's kind of what's going on here. We've got Kazehaya not knowing whether he should butt in or not, and then like the girls kind of figure out on their own that they each want to like find out what is really like what each other feels. So I guess the first question that I have for you guys is, what do you think about these three main girls, Sawako, Yoshida, and Yano, and how they resolve to find the truth on their own without any outside meddling force? Like, what do you think about their own realizations and I guess their resolve?
I think that was important for their relationship, right? Because if someone has to keep interjecting to make them realize the truth without them like coming to that realization on their own, it's like less impactful, I think. And so them kind of discovering for themselves, what actually went on is going to overall be like more powerful for them and bring their friendship like closer. And that's what we see, right? They have that, touching moment in the bathroom where they're all hugging and, they're going out to eat ramen and, doing all that kind of stuff. So I think while I do like that Kazuhaya like kind of pushed them in that direction from both sides, so that they like kind of met at the middle. It is important that they did it on their own, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that sort of realization, being able to kind of do it on your own and understand that, you know, people aren't fucking you over or whatever, really helps lead to like long-term adult relationships. It's like one of those things when you get in a fight with your bros and you're like, well, you know, fought with my bros, but we're still cool and I know they don't hate me, and you can just use like logic to kind of figure out, well, differences happen. And I think it's good that they did that, so I agree for sure. And as for what I think of the three characters, like all in all, I like all three of the characters. I like that they're kind of dynamically very different like personalities and stuff. It feels like a true friendship, not like in real life. Like everybody's like, look at us, we're all so freaking different, but we're, you know, chill homies. Word.
It's not a matter of like circumstance or convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing that I really appreciated, like that they came to to clear up these misunderstandings, is that it feels more genuine. You know, that somebody else wasn't able to like sort of, you know, helping them bridge the gap and kind of heal their relationship. It just seems like it comes about in a more natural way because they each were able to, or you know, both sides were able to express themselves.
Yeah.
There's a mosquito. Sorry.
I thought you were like high-fiving me. I was like, thanks.
Internet high five.
You're like, yeah, brother, high five. But yeah, it feels like it was more natural that way. Because I do like it could have been very easy for Kazuhaya to sort of be that intermediary, you know, between the three girls. But I'm glad that like he didn't. But because therefore it just seems like they were able to, you know, clear things up in a more natural way. Because yeah, like Alex said, I like them.
Well,
it's good too, because if
oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say it's good too, because if he forced them, or if he kept intervening and he was the main reason that they reconciled, then they'd always be reliant on him as a friendship. They'd never be able to truly be like friends on their own without him being around. If he disappears, they're just gonna have trouble again, and he has to show up and fix it. So
That's a good point.
They kind of put themselves in this situation though, right? With all these, you know, misunderstandings and like making assumptions. So I think you kind of, you know, need to learn from that. And I think they did, you know, it's, you know, we can't make these assumptions. We have to like use logic and, you know, actually talk to people
Our brains.
instead of just
let them
like
finish their sentences.
don't finish that statement. I know exactly what you're gonna say, especially like
I
a girl
read your
with
mind.
especially with a girl like Sadako, who's like has a hard time expressing herself, and is using the help of everybody else to kind of, you know, find her place and find her voice, and so to kind of just like dismiss her and say, nope, I know what you're gonna say. So the misunderstandings that they kind of brought them on themselves, but it is nice to see that they were able to then fix it themselves with, you know, a little help, but you know, they did.
It's kind
Like
of
the Beatles song. A little help from my friends.
And with a little, or I mean, this episode,
Should be
or
the title
I
of
guess
this
these two
episode.
episodes kind of show you just how strong rumors can be, despite the fact that if you thought logically about it, like it wouldn't really be the case. Like Sawako wouldn't do this, and the whole class essentially sees this after Kazuhaya is like outside the bathroom going like, she wouldn't do that. And then like,
Yeah, like,
a
you're
couple
all
of the other
dumb.
girls that like have interacted with her, she's like, yeah, like it doesn't make sense. He's like, do you think she would be able to talk to other people and like say this kind of stuff? And they're like, yeah, actually, that doesn't make any sense that she would be spreading these rumors because she doesn't talk to anybody. It's like, except for like this like small group of people.
Side note, kind of related to that, I really like Ryu's character, the kind of like loner baseball kid.
Yeah.
Because like his interjections are like so on point and like so perfect. You know, when he's going and talking to one of the girls like after a run, he's like, you know, think logically about this. You know, who is she gonna talk to? Like, do these. But then he's like interjects. He's like, "Well, maybe she did start it."
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like his character. He's like kind of this like outsider goofball that kind of follows his own way and actually has like good advice. And I think too, you kind of see it at the end of the latest episode 6. He kind of knows. I think he knows like how Kazuhaya feels about her, and he's like, "I got you, bro." Like
He's very
it doesn't make a big deal. It doesn't make a big deal about it too, which I like. So
he's like that very observant character that like can see everything around that's going on around him, and he just throws little hints. And
he's like unassuming,
yeah,
in that way.
I think that's a good character. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess next up, in relation to Kazuhaya, so if you were in his shoes, what would you have done in this situation? Would you meddle or let the girls figure out on their own kind of like what happened here?
God, it's so hard not to meddle, right? But at the end of the day, he made the right decision. He makes two good decisions this episode that I appreciate from a main character in or like a main love interest. One, he kind of knows what he wants, and he tells Sadako like, You don't get to tell me like what happens. This like where's my say in this? And she's like, I never thought of it that way. And then he kind of like pushes her and is like, what do you think like your friends would say too, or what do you think the other two girls would say about this? And she's like, I never thought of it this way. And so he kind of like I said before, he pushes them in the right direction. And while it is hard to like stand back because he knows he has the influence of the school essentially, he could have diffuse the situation very easily. It's important that he didn't do that. So I appreciate the character because one, he knows what he wants and he's able to speak his mind intelligently. A lot of sort of male protagonists don't do that, especially like when they are the main character.
That was a great Kazuya impression right there.
But it's refreshing to see because I don't know, in the shows at least that I've watched recently, it hasn't been like that. So.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point. It's there's this point in like film studies and like TV studies where sometime in like mid 90s there's this shift in like male character views, where once you had these like very strong male characters and like always had this sort of like patriarchal like family unit, and then now like mid 90s like early 2000s you have a lot of these like goofball main characters, or and then like they are essentially useless. And I feel like that's sort of like what we're seeing here is like before you have this like very like he's like sure of himself and he's confident at least at some point, but like he knows what he wants and he knows how to express himself, as opposed to many of the other like romance or like harem shows that we get with like just airhead and boneheaded
brain dead
characters.
Space Cadets.
Yeah.
I wish we could get rid of like the lovable goofball sort of character and the stupid airhead like main character, because that's like, it seems like all like what you said, Mark, in recent years that's like all the main characters are like that, and it's just like so annoying.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a trope for a reason, right? And it's because
Right.
it's very easy for someone to write a story and have that convenience to hide
Exactly.
behind. And I think it's just like you said, like I don't like those characters because it's too much of a cop out. It's just like, oh wait, what did you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear you because the train was moving past.
Yeah. Oh, ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
Cue the laugh track.
Oh, sorry, the wind was really loud. What did you say, Onodera?
The waves crashed, and then immediately when you repeat yourself, I'm going to fall asleep.
Right.
Love Musicoi. Love it.
It's awful.
I guess to answer your question, from you asked, would I do anything differently? I would like to think.
Oh God.
Who was that?
Wait, sorry. You would like
We're
to think
back.
what?
I would like to think I would not like do it the same way, not intervene a ton, because it is always, I think, best in most cases to just give a nudge in the right direction and give like some guidance, and then let them figure it out on their own. Be like, have you ever thought about? Anyways, I got a train to catch, and then you dip out. But
Yeah. I think
yeah, I
for
don't
me,
think
like, it would be very hard not to want to do something or to like sort of step in or at least
You want to see your friends
say
get
something
along.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like you want to see that things will work out, and you want to like at least like I would want to make sure that things are going to get patched up in a healthy way, because it seemed like Kazuhaya knew like he knows that the characters and like Yoshida and Yano, like they want to be friends with her, and like it's from his point, like he can see that there's misunderstandings. But like if he didn't know that, I feel like it would have been very easy for him to sort of try to step in and try to fix things from this like I don't know, like I want to say like fatherly, but like he just seems like he's like being protective at least.
Yeah.
I could have seen that happening, but I'm glad that it happened the way that it did.
I'm kind of where you're at, Mark, because I kind of feel like without like the objective viewpoint that you have as a viewer, it like of course you can look at it and be like, of course this is the right way to do it. Let them figure it out on their own. It strengthens their own like resolves and their relationship together. But if I were in Kazuhaya's shoes, I kind of feel like I would look at it and be like, okay, these are my friends, and I really like this one girl, and I don't like what's going on with like these rumors, and she's having a hard time communicating, but I feel like it would be hard for me to let her do things on her own. But I guess it's in his character. So if I think about how he's been kind of nudging her along throughout the show,
Yeah,
he's been the one that's like, well, you keep saying like thank you to me for like all of this stuff that's been happening to you, but isn't it just you, like your own like charisma that's been creating these opportunities to be friends with people? And I think so while I think personally, if I were in his shoes, it would be hard to do so, like you said, Mark. I also kind of think that maybe if I were him and had been like believing in this thought that she herself can create these opportunities, that maybe I would do what he did. So it's kind of hard, like putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and kind of, especially would you like feel like protective about these characters, right?
Yeah. Like you want the best outcome to like happen, especially like in such of like sort of like dramatic fashion that they were in. Like, there was potentially a fight in the girls' bathroom, and it's like he's sitting outside and nobody's
Everyone's
doing anything.
just got their phones out.
Yeah, and it's like I would have just immediately wanted to like rush in and be like, "Yo, what the hell is going on?" But then like seeing the two friends, it's like, all right, well maybe you just have to put your faith in other people and like hope that they're gonna do the right thing, which I'm sure like he had that faith. I guess you have to. Just gotta believe.
Otherwise, he's got that savior complex, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Get that SJW.
So I
White
guess
knight syndrome.
next up. So Drew, you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. So like when Kazuhaya stopped Sawako from ignoring him, he was like, "Hey, like what about my feelings?" And like he helps her realize that what she's doing and falling back into her old habits, that like how do the other people that she's interacted with feel about that? Like how would you feel if you were on the other end and someone that you cared about just stopped talking to you and started ignoring you? And then when she realizes this, like what would you do if you were her? So if you were in Sawako's shoes and you realize that these rumors were being created about people you cared about, and would you do what Sawako did and kind of like start to push yourself away, or would you try and continue to be friends with them and like clear up the misunderstanding?
She has like their best interests in mind, but it's not necessarily also the right way to go about it, because you can't just like ignore your friends, right? And so it's tough. Like you can see where she's coming from, but it's wrong. But how do you like push yourself to then or have the confidence to reconcile with them, or at least just talk with them? Because if you look at it from her perspective, right, she's like, there's all these rumors that people think that I'm spreading, or just like me hanging around these people is causing their reputation to plummet. I don't want to be involved with that. I don't want them to, you know, have their social status like change because of me. So I just ignore it. But you also can't do that, right? Because, you know, people need to be able to talk with each other and have conversations about like how they're feeling and like what's going on within their social circle, so they can try to work together to fix it. So I don't know. It's tough, right? And especially for a girl like her who's like, I talked about before, she has a hard time, you know, expressing herself. Not the best in social circles because she hasn't really had that many friends, at least at this age. So it's tough, man. It's like, what do you do? You can see both sides, and you know, luckily she does have the support of everybody, and they kind of like give her that like aha moment, you know, that Kazahaya does. It's like oh yeah, you know, I can just like talk with them and we can come to this understanding and we can move on instead of just conforming to like what everybody else is thinking about the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really tragic that her mind just immediately goes to like, you know, sort of doubting yourself and blaming like her situation, and you know, saying that like, oh, people are starting to like look poorly on my friends, or like, you know, people that she considers close to her, so why not, you know, just push them away. And it's like really sad that that's her answer, but it's sort of in line with her character, because she was so unsure of herself and like so used to being this sort of loner, that seeing other people being dragged down because of her, what she thinks is like her fault, is, you know, just cause for pushing people away again. But I'm glad that she was able to sort of overcome that, especially through like Kazahaya's, like through his like, you know, push, like what he said actually like held a lot of meaning to her.
I don't know if we want to go down this route, but are you guys familiar with like the Myers-Briggs like personalities, like the different personalities, like introvert, extrovert, and you know, all the different like,
or whatever, all those.
Yeah, you get all the different symbols, and they represent like your personality. And so if you look at kind of what she did in terms of like shutting people out of you know, her life based on the situation, it's a very introverted trait from that personality test and things. They call it specifically like door slamming. Basically, like, I'm in this really weird situation, I need to just slam the door on this and just move on and never talk to them again and never do anything like that again. It's a very specific, like, it's a very like specific introverted trait that
yeah, it's interesting,
that people have. And so it kind of makes sense, right? It's like, you know, pretty much exactly what she did. But luckily she had, you know, like we keep talking about, the social circle to help bring her out of that, because like you said, Alec, it's not healthy to do some of those things, especially when you have feelings for those people that you just slam the door on. You know, a lot of times, like when people do that, it's usually like for good reason, but there are like some unhealthy reasons, like in this situation. But like, you know, somebody like cheats on you, and so it's like, all right, I deleted them from my phone, I contacted everyone on social media, said don't talk to this person anymore, I deleted them like from social media, you know, eliminate all contact from them. And like people do that, and it was kind of, it reminded me of the situation, so I wanted to bring that up.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
It reminds me of I know might sound out of left field at first, but give me a sec. It reminds me of the bro code, and that is in the way where it's like you and your bro, like one bro likes a girl first, and so he has dibs or whatever. And it's kind of that idea that you can call dibs on a person without that person having any choice in the matter. She may be more into the other dude, but because that guy chose dibs, he's like, oh, well, I'm hands off, you know, and that's for the respect of like your friend. But at the same time, you're just eliminating the choice of this person that this other guy may potentially care about.
Well, respect for the in this situation, the girl too, because it's like you're just saying she doesn't have a say in that, she's kind of an object.
Right. Yeah. And by not doing that, you're respecting their feelings. And that's why where I'm coming from, he wanted her to be like, well, what about my feelings? And in that case, the bro code is kind of like, well, what about her feelings? So anyways, thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. I think in this particular situation, what Sawako was doing in going back to those introverted habits was dangerous, because she's already kind of changed by being around everybody. And in fact, she was actually hurting herself, emotionally, and
She's hurting everyone.
so it's like she's not just hurting everyone else, but she's hurting herself, and that wasn't a good thing. So I actually think that what Kazuhaya did there was very, I guess, it wasn't. I won't say it was like the smart thing to do, but I would say it was like the right push.
Yep.
And so I'm glad he did it, and in a way that Sawako was able to kind of solve things on her own, because literally all she needed to do to kind of fix her perspective was just to hear those words, like, how would you feel if either of them shut you out like what you're doing right now? And then she's like, oh,
Shit.
I wouldn't like that.
I feel shitty.
So yeah, it's a good thing that she realized this. And I guess going back to like the situation at hand with the three girls, Sawako, like the main misunderstanding that's happening is doesn't think they're friends, and the other two had kind of seen her as a friend already. And I forget which one of them says it, but it's like, before, like we've actually just been friends like since we met, you know. Like we've been friends this whole time. And they kind of mention you don't like ask someone to be friends, you just are friends. Like you before you realize that you become friends, right?
It's like the idea, oh, well, we're acquaintances until we, we're friends now. It's like we're dating now, but for friends. It's like, no, that's not how friendship works. It sort of just appears,
happens.
and you're like, this is my friend, and they're like, yeah, this is my friend.
It just happens, right? So
It just happens.
No, like written agreement. I sign on this line if you are my friend.
Well, I mean, that's what Facebook
Blood
is for.
brothers.
It's the written agreement. Once you're Facebook
Facebook
friends,
official,
you're
right?
actually friends.
Man.
So what do you guys think about this? Because like it's definitely for someone with no social experience. I don't want to say no social experience, but with limited social experience like Sawako, what do you think about this sort of train of thought?
You kind of see this coming though, like from the first instance and her being unable to express that she likes them. It's like, oh, she doesn't know that they're friends. Like, they obviously see each other like differently, but she just doesn't know how to express that because she's never really been in this situation. It's like she has like always had, classmates that talk to her or whatever, but she does, at least from what we could see, it doesn't seem like she's had any like close friends. And so you just sort of, I don't know. To me, it's like I'm stuck in this like really awkward position where it's like, no, like you just need to accept that this is how a friendship is, and it's like very frustrating, but it's very much in line with her character, because like I said, it's like she's like an extreme introvert and is like always sort of used to and content with being alone. And like now that she's not, she's being put in different circumstances and situations that she wasn't in before. So yeah, it's frustrating, but I can kind of see it.
And at least she's learning.
Yeah. She's learning.
Very often.
Learning.
Or I've known people who have been similar, I guess, and just didn't learn ever as they went along, and it's very frustrating. So it's nice to see that she makes progress, even if she takes a couple steps back. That's still satisfying to see.
Yeah. Because I mean, like if you think about it, like I'm sure we've all been in like situations where it's like you may know somebody you work with or somebody you've met, through friends of friends, and it's like, hey, we've met a couple times, we get along, but it's like, I don't know, like, are you actually friends? Like, what is the extent of that relationship? But like, you don't never like expressly, hey, are we friends?
No, you never ask that, right?
Right.
Hey,
Hey, and that puts
we're-
like a weird strain
we're
on your
friends now?
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Or
friends.
the age old, oh yeah, no, I was talking to my friend. Well, at least I think of you as my friend. But anyways,
No. So
Right,
just
so
And then you're
awkward.
like,
to go.
yeah, I think of you as mine too.
As a,
Okay.
I guess
Well,
as an example. So like out of the four of us here, has there ever been a situation where you were asked, like, if you, I should like let me phrase it this way: was there ever
no,
a situation?
I don't know any of you.
No,
You're my acquaintances.
was there ever a situation where you were asked if like any one of us was like a friend of yours, or and you had to think about it, or was it just like you were talking with people and you just said, hey, you know, my friend Alec or my friend Drew or my friend Mark, like what have you ever had that idea cross your mind and been like confused about it, or has it always been like in your mind like, oh yeah, you know, like this is my friend over here?
No.
Gotcha. I mean, like, also, like, being in school together is also, like,
Yeah.
it's an easier avenue to connect, to make that connection, you know?
When you're around each other all the time.
Yeah.
It should be a fairly natural thing, because if it's unnatural, you know, you're probably not friends with that person, and you wouldn't
Right.
probably be put in that situation where you're having that type of conversation. To answer your question, I think the last time I thought about it was when I was like in like kindergarten or like first grade or
Yeah,
something.
it's the same thing.
This
for
is
me.
my
I'm just, like,
friend.
that's the exact thought, because I do remember, like, at least if I was in kindergarten, like thinking along these lines, because it's like a very childish thought to think, because like those are your first interactions with people outside of your family, and you're just like,
Yeah,
are we
yeah.
friends? Like, is this your friend? Like, because the adults
trying to
ask
get
you
that-
like, is this your friend? Like,
You're
I
right.
think so.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
I-
like
I
you're trying
guess.
to get that clear definition of like what a friend is.
Yeah.
And it's like as you get older, you kind of just like you just sort of realize,
just-
like Drew said, like it just comes naturally that you just like, kind of don't really question it.
Humans are social beings, you know, you learn, and then once you learn, it becomes this natural progression of how you like create relationship with other people. Some people take a little bit longer than others, but you know,
Yeah. Especially
And the way
in
I always see it
Salico.
is like the decision of whether someone is my friend is up to me anyways. So if I'm sitting here like, well, that's my friend, and they're like, well, that's my acquaintance, I'm like, well, okay, well, I think of you as a friend. I don't care. Like, it really doesn't matter what you call me. We get along and you're my friend. So like, it's really a personal decision in the end anyways. Like, excuse me, I'm offended that you called me my friend. Okay, well, I guess we're not really friends anymore now. So like, thanks
I'm
for
not your
ruining
friend,
that.
guy.
Yeah, I'm not your buddy. I'm not your guy, pal. Yeah, that's dumb shit.
Yeah, and like in Salico's case, she doesn't have a lot of experience because she's never really had anyone that close to her. So I guess it makes sense that she's a bit slow in the in terms of learning this situation. But this is probably the first step in the right direction, right? So,
Yep.
Yeah.
last question. So that dirty blonde girl, it was kind of the red herring for this arc, right?
Oh, yeah.
We all kind of thought, at least even last week,
Thought.
that she was the one spreading these rumors. And so once we see that it was actually just the group of girls that were bullying Sawako in the bathroom, what do you think about this girl? Like, who
Was
is
it
she?
though? I felt like the way that they ended the episode still kind of implicated her. Just because, like, hey, you basically she's like, you dumb bitches. You think she's gonna like people who spread rumors? Kind of like putting the blame on them, and like she's like so scot free. Because the bathroom girls made it sound like they heard it from somewhere else. At least how I was interpreting it, and
Yeah,
so. And so just the way they ended the episode, it felt like she's like pulling some strings or doing some manipulating to kind of get to the end goal, which is Kazuhaya. So I don't know. I think she's still suspect number one in this. Very sus.
Very sus.
Yeah,
I
she
still
definitely
kinda-
made that first kill. Among us.
I think it was the other girls though, like the group of girls. Because I think by them already mentioning that, you know, this other random chick that we haven't really gotten to know yet, by having them mention that, you know, that she also knew Kazuhaya and also liked him, this
was like the
girl from the
catalyst,
group
right?
of girls, right? This girl from the group of girls is pretty much in the same situation. Like, she knew Kazuhaya, she already had a crush on him, and like feel they sort of just pushed that, like, you know, I don't know, like backstory a little bit onto her, and you know, I feel like that still is that's still like the cause is that, you know, she still had a thing for Kazuhaya and wanted to, you know, break up their little, you know, friendship group that they were forming. But I don't know. I feel like it was that the girls, that the bathroom girls. I don't know what to call them.
The bathroom girls.
The bathroom.
The bathroom girls.
Yeah.
The bathroom
Forever
gang.
dubbed the bathroom girls.
The
When we make
bathroom.
a grand appearance in the bathroom, that's your new title going forward.
Yes, from henceforth on.
From
the Bathroom
henceforth
Girls is,
forward
I feel
on
like
and
it's
to
a-
forever.
Look for that at the end of the year rankings on best
girls?
best secondary characters.
Yeah,
Bathroom
best
girls.
antagonist.
Bathroom
No,
girls.
best antagonist.
Best antagonist.
Yeah. Bathroom girls.
All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our discussion on Kimi ni Todoke episodes 5 and 6. So why don't we get back into these beers?
I'm
So
glad that we ended like an arc before we had to like watch more, because I was like actually like kind of satisfied that we're not left with watching more.
cliffhanger.
I still want to watch more, but kind of nice and neat this time around. So
yeah,
It's so
Worked
nice
out.
watching a show that doesn't end in a cliffhanger every episode. It's very refreshing. I just gotta say.
yeah, that is true. All right. So these beers, I guess I'll go first since I'm the only one that has this. But the Victory Java Latte Cold Brew Milk Stout. So this beer has a very, very coffee heavy smell. A little bit of that ethanol-y smell because it's 8.2%. Let me make sure on the can. 8.2% ABV.
Nice.
And
Solid.
it's got a lot of that very woody coffee smell. So that at first put me off a bit because once I smell that, I know it's going to be a sort of very... it's like that dark roast, but of lower quality beans smell that I associate maybe even older beans. And so when I first smelled it, I was like, uh-oh. Like, I don't, how well is this going to go? But
Right. But it turned out okay.
I still get a lot of the kind of
So not okay.
very strong ethanol flavor. There is a very significant, like, bitter, very roasted malt flavor at the tip and sides of your tongue. And then you get a lot of the bitterness in coffee that, if it's dark roasted, is like a byproduct of it. But I also feel like the beans are of a lower quality. So I guess my fears were a little realized. But I do think in terms of a lot of the coffee flavored stouts, that's kind of a par. But I also think that the coffee flavor is so strong in this, combined with the roasted malt, that it enhances the flavor. But that's not necessarily good because it enhances the bad parts of the flavor as well.
The shitty parts.
Yeah.
Oof.
So I think the fact that they're calling it the Java Latte,
Does it taste like a latte?
it does have a little bit of like that creamy flavor that you get from a milk stout. It's not overly sweet, which I think is good, but part of that kind of lower quality tasting coffee flavor is really what's putting me off. It does say crafted with local artisan coffee on here.
But where is that?
So
Comes from a Folgers can locally.
so
Got it at the local store.
ain't no Zumbar,
Artisan.
that's for sure.
no. I have to say that
Fresh
it
in-house
makes
beans.
it definitely makes sense to not use like the best beans when you're making these types of beers, because a lot of the times the subtleties won't make it to the beer. What you're really looking for are overall
like cooking.
flavors that will translate well because they're very concentrated. And I feel like in this case, maybe the quality of the beans isn't the problem. It might just be the roast. So it's like if you have a lower quality bean, normally if you roast it darker, it will sort of, I don't know if it's going to make up for like
Mask the flavors.
and mask flavors by any means,
You know,
but
roasty.
it feels like because it's so heavy, and in my opinion, having a cold brew, because it seems like they like mix it with a cold brew of a dark roast is not a very good idea in my opinion, because it pulls so much of those bitter tannin flavors from the dark roast that are not actually, those aren't the ones that you want when you brew the coffee itself. I think that this beer has a little too much of that.
I think it could also be like the length of time that, you know, they were brewing, either brewing that or brewing it with the coffee. Like
Yeah.
how long did they have coffee, you know,
When did
involved
they
in
put
the
it
brewing
in?
process?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So it could bring out a lot of those like really acidic flavors too that just give it a really sort of bitterness to it.
It's bitter.
Yeah.
It's grossy.
So those are sort of my first impressions.
Who's this by again?
This is by Victory. They are not a local brewery. They are on the East Coast. Are they in?
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Googling.
Are they in Pennsylvania? Yeah, Pennsylvania. Dowingtown, Pennsylvania.
Dowingtown, Pennsylvania.
So Mark, Alec, what do you think about the Christmas ale from Bell's?
Oh, I've seen
I was just wondering where Bell's was from. I was like, I had to check.
It's
Brad's
in
from
Comstock,
Minnesota. I knew it was
Michigan.
from the East Coast. Yeah, Michigan. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
One of them
in the
M
middle.
states.
What are they? From over there.
Northern M
Up
states.
near Canadiaville, hey.
Somewhere over there. Yeah, this is good. I'm almost done with mine, actually. I'm really enjoying this. I think I had this last year or the year before it, and I really enjoyed it then. Bell's is probably one of my
you've
favorite
had this before?
breweries. I have a while ago. But yeah, like Bell's is one of my favorites, so I think I have a 6-pack of the Bell's Two Hearted Ale in my fridge. It's
I hear
like
that's
one of
really
like
good.
those go-tos. Yeah, it's good.
They need to stay away from hazy IPAs though. They don't do a very good hazy IPA.
Their like basic hazy one is like it's decent for like the price. It's like $10 for like a 7% hazy, which is like it's like meh like tasting, but I mean it's like yeah, it's not a bad deal. But yeah, this is pretty good. Like it's for a Scotch ale, it doesn't have as much like malt as I was expecting. This tastes more like a red ale to me, but maybe not as like bready. It's like got like a little bit of like that maltiness, just slight like spices. If anything, it just tastes like a lager or like a red ale. I don't know. It's sort of like lingering in like the lines of like a couple of different things. It's like not too heavy on spices. Like it doesn't feel like very warm to me. But it's still sort of hints. It's got like hints of like some spice, like some either nutmeg or cinnamon or something. But yeah, it doesn't have as much malt as I was also expecting it to have for like a Scotch ale. I don't know. I like.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a mashup of a bunch of flavors, and none of them really stand out too much because I've been drinking it and trying to write down, and I'm like, oh, now I taste this, and now I taste this, and now I taste it, and as it gets warmer, it keeps changing. And it definitely isn't everything froze. It's not the maltiest of beers for sure. I expected it to be like almost punch in the face, like malt.
Yeah.
You kind of agree it would have been a lot more or like that. Yeah. But I get a lot of toffee, cinnamon, bready. Like it has a bready flavor. If you let it sit in your mouth, it gets real chocolatey. I'm trying to think what else I got here. Yeah. Like it's just kind of all over the place, but not in a bad way. I like it.
It's very easy to drink. I think that's the thing. I mean, like I said, I'm almost done with mine. Like it's just super easy to drink. Go down.
I had
really
to slow
smooth.
down. I was like, I'm gonna wait.
I grabbed
And
another one. So
I only have one, so I was like, let me make this last to the beer section. Yeah, I should have bought another, but yeah, it's good. I think the reason it's so easy to drink is like the feel is like it's a really crisp. You'd think like a Scotch ale would be kind of heavy feeling. It's light on your palate. It's almost like watery in feel, but not watery. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's like because a couple of the Scotch ales that I've had have been either very malty, and usually when you drink something that's very malty, it sort of just like lingers on your tongue and it'll sort of sit there. But like not in like a bad way, not in like a foul tasting way. It's just sort of like you notice that there's a lot of malt in there, so it's just kind of like
that's a flavor.
yeah, it's pungent. Or you have like another Scotch ale that I think Rolando and I had a while ago, and that was like it was very like earthy. That was like a Scotch like ale.
The Alvarado one.
I think so. Yeah, and it was just what did you mean? You said that it was like not earthy, but what's the like flavor when you're like tasting Scotch?
I mean like
Peaty?
woody, peaty. Yeah, peaty.
That's the one. Thank you.
Smoky?
Peaty. Hey, peaty.
Poopy?
Yeah,
Peaty.
not poopy. Peaty,
Well,
like
that's what-
like having like that Scotch.
Really
ale
literally what
just
it
like-
was.
very peaty.
Pete is, yeah.
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 It was, Pete.
So
Pete's poopy.
not so much in this though, which is very odd. But I mean, like, still enjoying it. Sorry, I just like run
Yeah.
through because I didn't hear.
No, it's fine.
No,
I was
Alec
talking
was just
under.
talking about poop while you were
just talking
giving
about
your
poop.
description
Alright.
about
Cool. I'm glad I just ran through.
Yeah, no, just running through. I'm just under here talking about poop, just quietly.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good beer. It's good beer. I definitely think that it doesn't fit like what I imagined when I first took that sip. It was kind of a surprise in not a bad way. Just like, oh, this is different. And not like, wow, this is amazing different. Not this is bad different, but it is very good. I kind of get a little booziness to it, which is nice on some of the, especially when it was cold. It was actually boozier when it was cold than now. I really enjoy it. I'm probably gonna have to go back to the store tomorrow and get more. So yeah, it's very good. So that I would buy it again.
All right. Well, since you're on that, what would you rate the beer?
I think 4. I'm like between 4 and 4.25. So I'll give it the 4.25. I think a 4.25.
Tasty.
It's deserving. Yeah, tasty.
Nice.
It's saying it's your turn now. That's what it does.
Well, you're the one that chose that sound
Yeah.
bite.
I know.
And I'm never getting rid of it.
It's fine.
Mark, what
I
do you
was
think
like,
about
look,
the
I'm
beer?
like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.25 as well. I think it's pretty good. I'm enjoying this. If I could remember what the previous one I had tasted like, I wish I could.
Well,
I
Alex
mean,
says
I'm
it tasted
sure
like
was-
poop.
So maybe the other one tasted like poop as well, and I still enjoyed it. I mean, I
Well,
enjoyed
You
it
have
enough to buy it again.
sophisticated palate, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
What would
do.
you eat with it?
I like to really taste
Caviar.
and
The poop?
get that
Scotch
caviar.
levels of poop.
What would you eat with it, Mark? What would you
A
pair this with
baguano.
for food?
Bat guano.
Oh,
no.
nice. Bag guano and caviar. Delicious.
What would I pair this with for food? That's a good question. I don't know. See, the thing is, like, I don't know if I would really classify this as like a Christmas ale. It's like to me, a Christmas ale either has a lot of spices in it or it just like makes you feel warmer. And this is like a good, like, I don't know. I feel like this is like a good fall ale. Like it's like getting kind of cold, and then like you're just sort of like in the mood of like, you know, getting ready for Christmas. This is like a perfect time to drink this because it's that pre-Christmas.
So they
Yeah,
should
pre-Christmas.
rename it
Pre-Christmas
Thanksgiving
November.
ale.
This
Yeah.
is the pre-Christmas ale, the Thanksgiving ale, if you
Yeah,
will. You know,
Thanksgiving,
from the
also
States.
known as pre-Christmas.
I honestly
Yes,
think they should just
exactly.
call it like the cold night ale. You could have this on any semi-cold night, and it would be perfectly fine.
That's what I think like it's good for. Not for like a super cold night, but like a nice
No.
like chill night.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, back to your question about food.
Yeah. Get back
don't-
to it.
I don't know. I feel like I would want to eat this with something like that is actually like warm, like a good chowder or something. No. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, not Thanksgiving dinner.
Not Thanksgiving
No.
dinner. I feel like that would be too heavy for this. It would kind of just drown it out. But like, it's like a nice bowl of soup or something. I don't know.
I think when this is like start cold, it has
Chicken
such a
soup?
sweet
Big chunk.
toffee
Chicken soup, there we
flavor.
go.
that I want it with something like hearty. And so I was actually thinking like a top roast. So my mom makes a roast, and it's a rosemary balsamic vinegar sauce on it, and I think it would be really good with that because it's kind of like that acidic spicy flavor, and then you get the sweet, and it's so crisp and clean it would just kind of like wash your tongue. It'd be nice.
That's good. Yeah. I don't know
That's
if
what
like
I was thinking.
drinking beer and eating soup is like the best combo, but
I
like
don't think
I don't
so
know.
either,
I mean,
but
liquid and
but I
liquid.
mean like I'm sure I've done it like many times.
I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I
Chicken
did that,
noodle
like,
soup
last
and a
week,
beer.
So
Yeah.
yeah, actually,
Got that-
I think that's what I had like
Got that chicken noodle
a week
big
ago.
chungus soup.
that big chunk of soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying I would do it, but if you're out there and you think that's abhorrent of me, then whatever.
They both
Alright,
warm
whatever.
you up in different ways, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Like,
correct.
You don't
One
like,
warms your
drink them and
soul,
eat them at the
one
same
warms
time.
your
You just,
body.
just
Yeah,
want
you
something
go-
warm and then,
you have
like,
the soup
finish it
here
off
and
with
you-
some nice.
Exactly.
You just pour the beer in. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, pour it all in a blender and
No,
turn
no,
it
no.
on.
All right. No more of this discussion. So, as far as what I'm going to rate this beer, yeah, I think there are parts of it that are good. So, if we're going to go over the pros of this beer, I don't think it's too sweet for a milk stout. And there is a little bit of the fruity aspect of the coffee that is coming through. But what I do not think is good is I believe they used a dark roast of possibly older or lower quality beans, which makes sense because this is going in a stout. So like they cut some costs, but I think that maybe if they had either shortened the amount of time that it was brewed with these beans. Well, I mean, it says on here. So even though it says cold brew, it says the stout is cold brewed with a bounty of local coffee for 48 hours. So they brewed it with the beans, I'm assuming. I feel like maybe if they changed the amount of time that they brewed the beans in there, or changed the roast, possibly
The roast.
could help the flavoring, because I don't think that the combination of the roasted malt with the beans in here is helping the flavor profile, like whatsoever.
Interesting.
So they
Curious to
take a
try it.
near finished milk stout and run it through coffee grounds in a 48-hour cold brewing process.
Like they could do multiple things. They can change grind size. They can change roast. They can change the amount of time. There's a bunch
Yeah,
of different
see it.
factors that they could do to change how much of the coffee extraction happens. This feels a little bit more like an over extraction of dark roasted coffee. So a lot of the poor tanniny components are coming through.
Yeah, see that's the thing that I was curious about, because it's like I'm not like I enjoy coffee. I'm not like a huge connoisseur of coffee like you are. But like it's when I notice that I forget that I'm making coffee, or like I'll leave coffee in like the French press for too long.
Yeah.
I obviously know, and it's just like, whoa,
The
this is
And
dangers
so
of
like,
a
when you
French
taste
press.
it,
yeah,
it feels
and
bad.
You start getting there,
You're
like,
like,
some really weird
Yeah.
flavors in there. You're just like, whoa, this is really strong, and it's just
This is
got a
funky.
whole lot in there. But like that's why I'm like wondering. It's like because if you were to leave the coffee or the beer in the like mixing with the coffee for too long, I feel like you can sort of get some of these like weird flavors, and especially like
2 days.
if you're leaving it in there and it's like you're also brewing it as part of the process, or like you said, like the bean size, or what kind of beans they're using. I feel like there's a lot of things that could sort of lend to it sort of going wrong in a sense. Not so much that like it's like
Going
a bad
different.
tasting beer, but yeah, like having unexpected flavors, and as a result,
I think
feel like so many things could happen.
Drew posted it was from like the craft cocktail subreddit in our chat once, and it was about like a coffee Manhattan, and basically
Yeah.
I forgot the YouTube channel. They're like a pretty big YouTube channel, but like they make different craft cocktails.
Cocktail chemistry. I
Cocktail
think.
chemistry, I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they made a
cool
coffee Manhattan, and basically what they did was they took some ground coffee and did a pour over with like a Manhattan through it, and created like this very like robust coffee flavor. But that's obviously you can change like the coffee profile just by what we mentioned before, is like grind size, roast type, and like what kind of coffee you're using. And I think so. I had a feeling that like another YouTuber I watch is James Hoffman, and he does a lot of like different coffee experiments, I guess you could say. And so he took on this challenge and like looked at the recipe, what the guy did, and tried to see what he could do differently, because a lot of people were already talking about it on the craft cocktail like subreddit, and trying to see what they could do to change the flavor profile of the coffee extraction, because like people tried it and were like, I wonder if you could pull out more of the fruity notes by like changing different things. Ultimately, like people came with different things, and James Hoffman himself went back to the original recipe saying this feels like the right balance, more than like if you extracted it longer or like changed maybe a finer grind and ended up getting a higher extraction. It ended up pulling away from the actual Manhattan cocktail. And so,
which is the whole point.
Yeah. And
Or
so
mixing a cocktail and yeah.
I feel like this is a similar thing where it's like there's probably a balance that can be struck that maybe if they reduce the amount of extraction they got could lend better. So I think it's
onto something. But
they're onto something. It's a limited release, but I have to give it a 3.
So I was looking through the beers that they've had. I don't think I've ever had anything from them, but I know I've heard of the Golden Monkey, and it's supposed to be really good from Victory. So
I've had it like a
throwing
while
out
ago, like a long time ago.
Golden Monkey.
There's also the Sour Monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've had either,
the Golden
but Golden Monkey looks good. A tripel.
Yeah,
sounds
Tripel,
delicious.
and then the Sour
Tripel.
Monkey is a sour. Was it a Belgian sour or?
It's a sour triple as
Yeah,
well.
it's because it's based off of the Golden Monkey, but it's a sour. All right, well, why don't we move on from the beers and into
Goodbye,
our
beers.
news break? So, Mark, if you need to grab another beer, go ahead.
I will. All right. Excuse me.
I will too.
First up, Drew, it's just us.
It's okay. It's very intimate now.
Oh, okay. So, first up,
Sensual news.
we've got Kanabun, the Japanese pop rock band, have released a new music video for their latest single, Torch of Liberty, the new OP for the current season of Fire Force. So
Nice.
if you could link that in chat. So if you can check
Chad.
the link in our Twitch chat, the music video will be found there, as well as a creditless animation for the Fire Force opening. Next
There it
up,
is.
Anime News Network reports that mangaka Naoki Urasara of Pluto and 20th Century Boys fame is creating an anime. The mangaka has stated that details are scarce at the moment, but hopes to show everyone something soon. So, Mark
Guys, I'm fucking excited.
is clearly excited about this.
I mean, it's Urasawa, man, and like, if he says that like he's working on something, I don't know the last time he's had like an anime adaptation, and especially if like he's gonna be involved, I'm pretty fucking excited.
Well,
Yeah, Pluto and 20th Century Boys are like top 10 manga for me. So
we'll have to see what the
It's-
next announcement coming soon is.
I'm excited.
Soon TM.
Soon,
I'm
TM.
excited.
In anime film news, Anime News Network reports that the Kimetsu no Yaiba Mugen Train film has earned over 23 billion yen in 31
Billion.
days. It is now the highest earning anime film in Japan of all time, surpassing Spirited Away. The 5th highest anime film in Japan of all time, so 5th highest film in Japan ever. That surpassed Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which was the previous 5th. And the 7th highest earning film worldwide in 2020. First in animation for 2020. As far as movie releases go, Studio Ghibli's first CG film, Earwig and the Witch, will release in Japanese theaters on December 30th. The film is helmed by Goro Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki's son.
Sorry.
So hopefully his father doesn't walk out on that premiere. The third Girls in Panzer Das Finale film will release in Japanese theaters in March. And then after the delay that's happening due to the ongoing pandemic, Gundam Hathaway will release in Japanese theaters on May 7th, 2021. More Gundam-related news. Mobile Suit Gundam creator Yoshiyuki Tomino has revealed 3 untitled Gundam projects that are in the works. More news to follow on these projects, which will be Tomino-san's focus after the 3rd Gundam G no Reconquista compilation film releases next summer. So,
Is it G Gundam or
good Gundam.
Good Gundam? Good Gundam.
I mean, I'm always happy for more Gundam.
Okay.
Mine is burning red.
Coming up,
Constant meme in our Discord.
so
Never fails.
Anime News Network reports that this year's 50th issue of Weekly Shonen Jump has revealed that Chainsaw Man will receive a stage presentation at this year's Jump Festa. Will we get an anime announcement, Mark?
I bet you. I hope so.
I hope so too. The manga is
gonna be good.
nearing its, I guess, climax because it is in the final phase.
Final stages.
I mean, it kind of makes sense if you're reading it because there's
Yeah.
no way they're gonna go anywhere. Like,
You're caught up, right?
yeah, I'm caught up.
Oh man, we need to talk about
Yeah,
this.
this is
Yeah, man.
It's so
yeah.
good.
It needs to have an anime. I feel like once it's finished, and if for sure we'll have like a full complete like 20 something episodes.
yeah.
It'll be good.
So this is just as an aside, Power kind of looks like a 02 type character, and I feel like if there's an anime adaptation, if they get Tomoto Haruka to play her, would probably be the best fit in my opinion.
It'd be perfect.
But her character is so much like sort of taps into that 02 vibe that I feel like she's gonna be like such a crowd favorite because she's so fucking funny.
Yeah. Oh
She's
hell
such
yeah.
a meme.
She's his best girl, man. So good.
Let's hope Mappa picks it up.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Think
Although
they could do a good job with it.
I wonder, I wonder really what studio would be best for a Chainsaw Man adaptation.
It's a good question. I feel like Mappa would be pretty good. Maybe even like, I don't know about White Fox, because they also did Demon Slayer, right?
Yeah. Well, that was like Production IG.
That's what
Because
it was,
Production IG is who I was kind of thinking of to do a Chainsaw Man adaptation because of the production value that they do. I guess that's in their name, production. But
the production.
I kind of also feel like what's the studio that did Dorohedoro?
Mappa.
I think that was Mappa.
Was it
yeah.
Mappa? Yeah. So like I kind of feel like Mappa could take
That's
that
why
helm
I immediately
and do a
thought
similar
them.
like thing with Dorohedoro and do CG because I kind of feel like
Yeah.
it could work. Like
I think
weirdly.
so too. I think it would be okay if they went the a route of like Dorohedoro level of like CG.
Yeah.
Where like, I mean, it's still very good and it's like amazing artwork. Plus it's all like gritty and dark and
Yeah.
lots of heavy lines and shit. Yeah.
This needs an anime, and I think they're gonna announce it. I hope they announce
Yeah.
it. I think
I'm
they
sure.
But
Let's hope.
If you want to read Chainsaw Man, read it. It's great.
Yep.
Read.
Next up,
Read.
so Anime Los Angeles has revealed on their Twitter that the 17th convention scheduled for January 2021 will be canceled due to the ongoing pandemic. The event will change venues as well, so it will now take place January 6th through the 9th, 2022 at the Long Beach Convention Center in Long Beach, California. For those interested in dubs, Toonami will be airing the English dub of SSSS Gridman in January 2021.
SSSS.
SSSS
Thighs.
Gridman.
Mark.
Look at that.
And then finally, I guess not finally, let's skip that so that's finally. So Kanojo mo Kanojo has, the manga has received an anime adaptation, more details to be announced in the future. Now, finally, in news that Alec is not interested in whatsoever, the official Quintessential Quintuplets Twitter account has posted a new promo for the upcoming second season for the anime. The promo is a feature on the eldest Quint, Ichika. The 4 other sisters will have a promotional video posted each week during the next 4 weeks. Second season slated to begin January 2021.
Big
unfortunate.
Ara energy.
Unfortunate that Hanazawa Kana has to voice such a character.
I know.
Which is the same studio doing it?
It's a different studio, I think.
Good.
by Bury Animation Studio,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I mean, they
Isn't that the
also
one that did Azur Lane?
Yeah, and Grisaia Phantom Trigger. That's the movie though, which is okay. So yeah, I don't know. You
How much
kinda
is it
get
gonna
ahead.
is it gonna get delayed during the airing?
Oh man, just call
That
Shaft.
was-
Just let Shaft do it. Like just let them do it, and it would be so good.
Just make this a key show. Like it's gonna end like most key shows will. But this is I'm just kidding. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the production on this. But
Do you think
it's-
they're gonna finish
yeah.
finish it in the second season? I don't think there's enough time.
No, definitely not.
So I kind of feel like it might get a third season because it's so popular.
Show's so sick.
But like I think despite how the manga ended, it's still like really popular. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a third season.
Because I think like everybody was like comparing it to like what was it like Negi, like his like other works and stuff, and then it, obviously like it upset a lot of people. But I mean, like somebody was bound to lose, like but it's
In real-
it's still not bad.
I don't want to spoil anything, but in
Yeah,
my
it's
opinion,
still-
everyone lost.
It's still good. It's still good, you know what I mean? Like
I can
like,
accept
overall.
the ending, but I still feel like everyone really lost.
That's awful. I mean, I think the second season will be good enough that people will want more. So I think if depending on how well it does and if it actually comes out on time, I
Yeah.
think yes, then
This
it
is-
will get a third season.
I think it'll get a third season. This is definitely the season where Nino's character at least turns better, in my opinion.
Nino. Nino.
All right, moving on to our happy hour. So first up, we have started watching High School DxD in our new rewatch. So if you are not familiar with it, please come join us Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Join our Discord
It's a
at
time.
anmeondraft.com/Discord. And yeah, we're watching in there as a group. Feel free. It is
Beautiful show.
it is a very beautiful show, as Drew mentioned. I actually forgot how much nudity is in it until we
I
watched
forgot
the
that
first
I
episode.
actually. So I didn't watch with you guys, and I went back to go watch it, and I forgot that I started it and then dropped it because I was like, well, that's not really quite what I was looking for at the time. And so here we are again, full circle.
Alex like, this is hentai,
do you know?
isn't it?
This is essentially
It's a
hentai.
hentai.
It's a hentai,
called hentai and it's art.
and it's art.
Thank you, Mark.
I mean,
Thank you, Stanley.
I've never seen the show, and I
called
had
hentai,
some expectations,
and it's
and
art.
this was just like completely blew those out of the water. I was like,
These
wow,
were not
this-
your
This
expectations.
is not what I was expecting.
I
Well,
totally
one, and 'cause,
forgot it was this too.
I told you guys this. Like for the longest time, I thought High School DxD was the same thing as High School of the Dead, and so like until like sometime last year, like I didn't realize that. Like I finally made the connection that they're not the same.
They're not the
but
same thing.
I was just like, yeah, this is. I don't know why I would have ever gotten these two confused.
Yeah.
Not the same at all.
No.
No,
Zombies, just nudity.
Demons
Just
and
boobies.
chests.
And boot
Yeah.
and nipples protruding through multiple layers of clothing.
Yeah. No matter what you're wearing, your nipples are just showing. Your nipples
Drew-
are
Drew had the
blaring.
What happens when you're
This nipple
what happens
of
when you're
mine
a
is
demon?
burning red.
description while we were watching it. And I was like, geez, like what the fuck? Her nipples are protruding through her shirt. And Drew's like, yeah, that's protruding through her bra. I'm like, oh shit, you're right.
Through
It's
everything.
like the next scene, she's like putting on the bra, and you can just see him through there. It's a sight to behold.
It's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, join us and watch the
degeneracy.
Degeneracy, yeah.
This nip
Just
of mine
unfolding.
is burning red.
Yo,
the
I don't know
funny
if you
the
can
funny
say that,
thing the funny thing about this show is like while there is like the gratuitous like fan service, it like the story as you guys maybe you guys will disagree when you watch it, and maybe rewatching it I might start disagreeing, but the story is like actually like somewhat interesting. It's not great, but
it's pretty good.
it keeps you entertained, and I think there's like a lot of strong characters. So.
You got the Harem King, Issei himself,
Yeah.
Mr.
The
Busto.
harem demon.
Mr. Busto.
Right.
See, this is how
Can't
you
wait
this
till
is
we
how
get to
you
the
this is how
boost,
you act as a harem main character. If
true.
you don't be a simp like Kazuya.
It's true. Issei is one of the stronger harem main characters, so
He knows what he wants.
many of the girls are very good.
Yeah. So yeah, Mark, I know, or Alec as well. This is the first time either of you have seen this. What are your
You
first
past these
impressions?
like 2 episodes.
First impression. I mean, yeah, like it seems like this story is like at least interesting enough to like continue watching. Like it's cool. Like the action is cool. Transformations are like, pretty spot on, and it's like just gratuitous like panty and boob shots. So I mean, like it's like funny too. Like just like watching this years later, like after this has already been like a beaten to death meme, but it's still funny. Like just how gratuitous every scene is. I mean, it's like so extreme, but like it's still enjoyable. Like it's still a pretty decent show.
This is
Oh, it's
not
enjoyable?
this is not
So far.
an
Like, it's
anime that would be okay to release in 2020.
No, absolutely.
No,
not.
definitely not. Yeah, that's a good point.
It is a
I,
relic of a bygone era.
I think when I started watching it, it was I think it was during the binging for me, and so I pulled it up and I was like, well, this is an anime, this is hentai. I'm gonna go watch anime, and I switched off. I think that I've been watching like more. I'll probably see more of the anime qualities of it, because I mean, so far the story's been fine. It's just there's boobs everywhere.
Yeah, and he doesn't like boobs, so
No, of course not. Yeah, who likes boobs?
To each their own, man.
So anyways, I'm definitely, obviously gonna have to give it a try. Not like twist my arm here, but I think it'll be fine. The story seems enjoyable.
I think if
All right.
anything, it'll be
Laugh-worthy.
fun watching it together.
It is
Yeah,
a
It's
it is a fun
Yeah.
watch.
that's why I said
Yeah.
we have to drink a beer while we're watching it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I
for
think
sure, yeah,
solo, it's kind of weird because like solo, you're like, this is like,
it's mildly
this is
uncomfortable.
weird.
You don't
by
want your
myself,
mom to
but-
walk into your room, right?
Exactly.
But when you're like joking on it as a group,
want
then
my
it's
dog
kind of
to be
funny.
watching
I
it,
know,
too.
ironic, but yeah, your dog is Roscoe. No, don't look, don't look,
don't look, buddy.
don't look. Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
All right. Well, here's what I have to say. Are you glad that you're watching this instead of Clannad?
Yes. Yep.
All right. I
Yep.
think that's all
I'm
there
glad
is to
I'm
say.
watching this instead of Anohana. I gotta
Okay,
say
yeah.
that. As great of a show as that is, I would much
You
rather
don't
like,
want to be
laughing.
disappointed.
Exactly. Yeah, and like ruin
Leslie-
something that I once thought was great.
I had a
bet it's probably
I had a
still fun.
conversation about this with someone, and we were kind of talking about what we said about Clannad last week, and
Yeah.
it's like some shows you just let stay in that high place in your
In your
nostalgia,
memory.
in your memory.
I wish I would have done that.
And now I'm saying, like, we wish.
I wish you would have
we
done
did
that,
with
too.
Clannad, because it's like, holy shit, watching that again was not a good. It was a disservice to
Was not a
the
good
memory.
experience.
Yeah.
yeah. But then like see like on the flip side though is because it's like then we get shows like Kimi ni Todoke and it's like it's wholesome romance and it's like
We haven't
it's got
seen
a lot
it
of
yet,
good
though.
elements. But then we've never seen it before. All right, that's fair. Fair point.
Anime
But
is like
you
a
are
box
correct,
of
though,
chocolates.
in saying
It's
that
very,
like our kind of how our experiences have shaped our viewpoints like up to now.
Mm-hmm.
We're not finding too many faults in that show comparatively.
comparatively,
As-
yeah. Because they came out roughly around like the same time, right? Kimi ni Todoke.
and I could say as a first time watcher,
Clannad's 2012.
Clannad wasn't good
Clannad was 2009.
now at my age. So
I don't
It's
know about
the same
Kimi
year
Todoke.
then. I think the same year. Fact
Who
check.
knows?
Look it
Go
up.
fact
Look
check
it
that.
up. Devin.
All right, let me fact check it.
So while Mark is fact checking that,
Which one?
Next, Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Go.
2010.
We are on the third
Doesn't matter.
episode of the Wata
Okay, 2009.
Damashi arc, and shit happens in this episode. What do you guys think?
Man, it's like you
When
think
you're-
one thing and then something else starts happening, and I think I got it figured out. That no, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't have that figured out.
You figured it
I-
out.
We want to know
Tell
what
me.
you think is happening.
I think I have the formula down, right?
Okay.
So it's like we went through the first arc. You know, we had a few
It's a
episodes
visual
that
novel.
it resolves. We warped back. And now I think next episode we're gonna get the resolve of Shion Mion arc, and then we'll go back, and then we'll do the two lolly girls, Rika and what's the blonde girl's name?
Satoko.
Annoying girl.
Annoying Ojo-sama. We'll get their arc, and then hopefully we get like some sort of resolution. So I think that's what's gonna happen, and then maybe they all merge in some way, and we get like that like supernatural factor going on with Rika and her past future self or something along those lines. I don't know, man. This show's so good because it's like I crave more, and you know, this episode was good. We have like the was it like the desecration of the monument,
Yashiro, dude. Yeah.
the backstory of the what is it? Wata is like cotton, but it's also like entrails.
The cooking utensils.
And the heavy chopping imagery that, you know, Rika's doing, and you can just like then envision like guts coming out, and we get like the history of like the cannibal demons and stuff. There's like kind of like a lot to digest.
A lot going on
In this one, but I think kind of going back to my original point, we're going through the different arcs and we're getting like different pieces of the story. So like first we got like the idea of like the construction workers, and then that keeps like resurfacing that whole conflict. Now we're getting a little bit more of like what's the guy's name? Is it Oyashi or
Yashiro-sama.
Oyashiro's? We're getting more of that and like how that kind of came to be, and like the demons and like the demoning of away of the two chosen. And, you know, I just think we're going to get, like, bits and pieces until we can all kind of, like, put it together.
so we go aha.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a big aha, like
yeah.
It makes sense. But I definitely agree. I think we have been seeing these sort of like different arcs, because Rika sort of hints at something, and she mentions like, you know, like you made the wrong decision, and then like she says something else, blah 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 blah. Like,
Why would you do something bad, especially on
like
this
you're bound
night?
to you're going to die and you're going to destroy the world. And that was just like, oh, wait, what? Like,
We just escalated.
yeah, whoa, wait a minute. But it's like, it sort of just mimics this, like, you're on the wrong path, but like now you know that you're on the wrong path and you sort of can't change that. And then I'm sure like once this arc finishes, we're probably gonna bounce back again.
Try again.
Yep. Yeah,
It feels like a visual novel.
Yeah, it really,
Just keep
really
trying the
does
different.
Well,
because I mean, like the
that's funny
dates
'cause
just
it
keep
is a
popping
visual
up.
novel.
Yeah.
It feels like
it.
one. Well,
It feels
that's
like
because it is one.
I like
It
it.
is.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, like the dates just keep popping up, and it's just like it's just blaring in your face now, and it's like I don't know why I didn't realize that for the first couple of episodes, but now that it's so apparent, it's like I just can't help but like
We're on day
notice
20,
it,
right?
and just like I keep like dwelling on like the dates. Yeah, it's like the 22nd I think is like the one that
Is the
like
one that-
in the OP and the ED.
And all the papers are everywhere and there's blood
That's
everywhere.
the convergence. Yeah.
Yeah. The convergence.
This is
Oh
the
my
will
God, what a big
of
word.
Steins Gate.
Oh, shit. Alec, what do you think about the show?
I think it's lit. I truly do enjoy the show. I know at the like end of the first arc, I guess I was kind of thinking that what's his face is crazy, and like
Keiji?
because it was like flipped, and I was having those ideas that like he's crazy, and to a certain extent I kind of feel like that could possibly be it, but it's gone in the backside of my ideas just because maybe he's just imagining all these crazy circumstances and that's why we're going back in time or whatever. But the other thing that it kind of seems is it's almost like, at least in this arc, Shion was like training him to be like one of the village people. You know, like be one of them.
Macho
You know,
man.
this police uniform.
man. Village people. Because it was just kind of, you know, she was like, oh, well, I would expect you to this. And like, will you protect me if I'm in trouble? You know, and it was that whole idea. And after he got roughed up by those people and the whole town showed up, it felt like this weird, like, we're gonna train him like a dog to be one of us.
Include you in the hive mind.
Yeah, and so it almost seems like they're like, and then he ended up so this is my thought process. He went through that whole first arc. Crazy shit happened. He ended up in the hospital, and then he was like scratching his neck. And so I was like, well, maybe they gave him drugs to make him crazy, and then they're gonna bring him back with no memory to redo another thing, and they're like trying to indoctrinate him into their craziness. And that's like my super wild theory that has been tootling around in my head.
I mean,
This is that
that's a
Shinsekai
wild
Yori
theory.
like theories.
Yeah,
where you
it's
just think
wild, but-
Anything is possible and anything can happen.
That's what I'm going with. I'm like, I'm just gonna let my mind go, imagination go crazy. I don't think that's actually what's happening, but that would be
that's-
fucking wild if it was.
That's totally fair because I was doing the same thing, and like I think to your point, Rolando, like you wanted us to like write down like what we had thought before, and it's like before I was thinking like the whole town is in on it, and they're like going through like the same day, and it's fucking Groundhog Day, but it's like reversed. I
You
was
want
like,
to
now that it,
keep your thoughts on paper because like you're gonna want to come back to them.
oh, absolutely, and it's like I still don't know if it seems wild, at the time, but who knows,
Who knows? I mean, a lot of the stuff we said was wild in Shinsekai Yori, and then it turned out we are like, holy shit.
All right.
I mean, like your little thing about, was it the redhead girl?
Oh yeah,
wasn't quite right.
Mark thought they were setting
sex
up like a
slave.
breeding farm out of Bulgaria.
Yeah, but it wasn't completely off the right track. So
That would have made for a great story. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah, that would have been
very dark. And
that would have been very dark. I don't think that could air. That's too dark. That's like a book.
Shouldn't think about that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess what we'll do. So it's like I kind of told everyone to, because I'm the only one that has prior experience with the previous anime, at least not the visual novels, but I said on the monthly wrap-ups we can kind of discuss each arc because it kind of happens to fit with the end of each arc. So it'll be a good idea for you guys to keep your notes together and kind of compare your thoughts on what you had been previously thinking while you were watching it, and then what happens at the end of each arc. So you guys are coming up with a lot of fun ideas. The one question I have is, what did you think?
They're all wrong.
No. What did you think
You're
about
idiots.
the phone call between Shion and Keiichi?
I was thinking the whole time he's not talking to the person that he thinks he's talking to, so he's talking to like the other sister, and he's like revealing all of this shit, and it's like, how stupid are you?
This goes back to the Keiichi's such an idiot that
he's so stupid.
Well,
you just
Well, and
can't
his
help
whole
but be like,
demeanor-
"Oh, just keep doing it."
was different than previously, where he was just like, how are you gonna fix this? And it was just
he specifically says, "How are you going to take responsibility?" Mm-hmm. And
that really caught me off guard.
There's a Japanese word sekinin, which is like the word for like this responsibility that you have to take when like you do something, and he specifically says this, and he says this to Shion, who he's talking to on the phone, and it's like, why is it so like he's just babbling like a weak, scared idiot, and he's saying, how are you going to take responsibility for bringing me into this? It's like, is it really her fault that you came into this?
Yeah. Well, it's like what we talked about last week. It's like all these people are telling you like all this crazy shit, and then you're just all of a sudden, let's go into this like forbidden place with these people that I like really just met because they tell me to do it.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to blame everybody else for like what's going on. It's like, no, you have to take responsibility for what you did, bro.
Rika had made a great point. Is like, you should have stayed and watched me dance. Like,
Yeah.
it was as simple as that. You just fucked up, man.
Yeah.
It shows how weak his character is. And so I guess just coming from the perspective of someone who's seen the show, like what they've done, at least with the first arc and this arc, basically the first 3 episodes are fairly close to what actually happens previously. So now I'm interested to see what happens in the next episode and how it changes, if possible, because supposedly they're going with the whole things are different this time around. And I'm interested to see what's different. My memory isn't the best on what happened because I haven't seen this series in like 8 years, and it's been a while. But I think this is like it's kind of fun to be not as or not remembering as much. So having a little bit of like first time seeing things, but at the same time knowing a lot of the things and having that background, and then hearing what you guys are saying, and then like I'm seeing hints that I'm like, oh shit, but like you guys are like seeing these other hints that are like pointing to things and like leading you to think of certain like theories and stuff, and it's really fun to see like what you guys think of. Like I think Alex's theory is like specifically fun.
And I think part of it too is it reminds me a lot. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's one where they for the greater good, and they go for the greater good, and they all say it back. You know, that British humor comedy. I can't. What?
Like Monty Python or?
No, it's like where they're the two cops in a small town, and
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah,
Hot Fuzz. Yeah, it reminds me of like the town is that town, and they're like for the greater good, and they're trying to like indoctrinate this kid, be like, be one of us, and it just, I don't know. That's how it feels.
I like that theory, but I don't think they're trying to make him one of us. I think they're like trying to like breed him to be the sacrifice.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Could be.
I think that he is this sort of not so innocent bystander that they're very easily just like, well, here's this kid.
Well,
They did say it was people from out of the village. So.
Right, that's why like Tomiyake or whatever. Tomitake, yeah. That was easy. I knew that was gonna happen at some point. I was like, this dude is an outsider. This guy's so dead. Yeah.
All right.
They did mention too, like when they're talking about the statue, they're like Oishiro-sama, he like picks those who think are worthy of sacrifice, and you know, through Keiji's actions, is he becoming that worthy sacrifice? All signs point to yes. I mean,
yeah. The weird thing too is that like the Tomitake guy seems like he knows a lot that is like going on. At least he seems like he might be like letting on, or like he may know more than he's letting on.
absolutely.
But then, you know, he also disappears, so it's like maybe he was sort of getting close, and then they were just like, well, I guess
He's a red
ready.
herring.
Yeah.
He doesn't have red hair though. He has black hair.
No. I think it's to mess with him, with
Maybe.
the kid.
I have to say, I'm really wondering what they're gonna do, because I think so far we're probably gonna get like 26 episodes, maybe.
Nice.
Because it's definitely going past this season. So I'm wondering what's gonna happen, because they had around a similar amount of episodes in the first season, and then they have more arcs that kind of answer some questions that happened in the first season in the second one. So I wonder if they're gonna plan on having a similar amount of time, or if they're gonna remove some arcs and then like do more in 26 episodes this time. Excuse me. But
I don't know. I just want them to release it all. Like
Right.
Be nice.
That'd be nice.
And then we'll do a watch along all on a Saturday. We'll finish the whole thing all at once.
Dude, like I am so stoked because you guys are coming up with all these ideas, and because you're first time viewers and you're not reading comment threads like I told you not to,
unadulterated.
because people are gonna fucking spoil shit.
Very
like,
hard not to.
It's fun to see like all the
Easy
stuff that you
not
guys are
to.
talking about with the show, because like it's hard for me to like not say anything, because there's so many hints that I see. I'm like, oh shit, like watching it again, quote unquote, because it's like it's kind of like a half of a rewatch for me and half of like what's going to be different. And it's just really interesting to see like what I know and why certain things happen in certain arcs, and then like what's going to be different. So I think this is going to be like probably our most talked about new show, new quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. This is like kind of an Orishiri, but not.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I did
right.
I did recommend this series for Orishiri like last year or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of glad that there's a reason to watch this like as a
That would have
separate
been
thing.
really funny
Yeah.
if we had done this as an Orishiri.
Yeah.
and
Right. And then it came out.
We're like, well,
Yeah.
it's time to
Well, then,
revisit.
I think it's better we do it this way because
Yeah.
you guys
I
are like
agree.
coming
It's
into
a
it
first
new,
watch.
and it's just completely fresh for all of you. But I think
Agreed.
my favorite part of this episode was when fucking detective boy comes out, Drew's favorite, and then as soon as I see the car, I just hear in my head, "Yo!"
I love his VA. I think he's fucking hilarious. Just the way he talks.
All right. So if you guys are interested, I think we'll probably do our monthly wrap up next week or the week after, and we'll kind of cover the whole arc as a whole
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we should make the decision when we do the wrap up is when the this arc comes to a close, and I think it may be this coming
This
week.
coming
you think, or
episode,
maybe
yeah.
one more.
I think it's
this coming episode.
Yeah, makes sense.
Feels like it.
Feels like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Well, speaking of other shows that have the days numbered, as you could say, we've got Kami-sama ni Natahi, and in particular, they mentioned in this episode that there's a specific dish in the West that is becoming
wondering
super
about that
popular.
too.
It's fucking a fried egg on some shrimp crackers, and I'm just like wondering what the fuck, like, there. When has this been a big dish in the West?
I haven't
Is that
heard
Top
of it.
Chef or something? Like,
Fried egg on shrimp crackers?
Since always, guys.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but
Where in the
with
West?
Some mayo.
Missing out.
In the just west.
The
Go
far
west.
Just west. The far west.
Go west like the
Ah, California. The far
farther than
west.
that. Yeah, Japan is farther west from us.
Yeah. Just keep going west after that.
Going west.
I've circled the earth 15 times. Where is west?
Just keep
Well,
going.
Your compass says west. So
Oh, no.
that's your problem.
What do you guys think of this episode? I kind of felt that Hino was super annoying.
I thought she was really annoying as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's always like kind of annoying, but this
was,
felt like a
real
weird.
annoying.
This felt like a weird episode after like a really like emotional episode the week before.
Yeah.
And this time it gave us like bro love, like bromance going on, but it didn't feel as heartfelt as like the episode before. So I don't know. It was kind of like an awkward, weird episode with like, Hina being an obnoxious child, which she kind
is
of
Yeah.
literally a
There-
obnoxious child.
Yeah.
There was a lot of. It felt like there was a lot of like relationships that they were trying to start developing like very suddenly, which was weird because after last week's episode, you get all these like heartfelt emotions about. I forget the girl's
And
name.
Shokugeki.
And about her family and the Shokugeki, and you're like, why can't you just have more Shokugeki? And no, but like it just seemed like it was very odd that they are starting to try to develop all these different relationships, and it's like Shoko's
Kyoko.
personality, or like Kyoko. Oh, sorry, Kyoko. Like it just seems like she sort of flipped, and now she's like expressing interest in.
Well, the last episode is supposed to kind of explain that. You could kind of say, because she became such a like introverted and closed-in child.
Yeah,
she's trying to
yeah.
be
because of
happy, like her mom
because of her
told her.
mom's death. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It just, I don't know, for some reason it still felt awkward to me. Like it just felt odd.
I agree.
Yeah.
Going off of that, I have a question for you guys. Do you feel like the show is like running out of time?
Yes.
Like,
It's
I
literally
feel like
Is that the point?
Literally.
Well-
running
well,
out of time, yeah.
But like in terms of like format, right? So it's got like a few episodes left, and I feel like we've gotten nowhere. And to Mark's point, we're learning about these like character relationships and trying to develop these characters or these like side characters that like I don't necessarily know that like
Welcome
we
back.
care about them too much. Or like I like all the characters. Like I think I do care about them, but not to the point where we're sacrificing like actual story time and like figuring out like what the heck is actually going on. So I don't know. I just feel like we're running out of time and nothing meaningful has happened.
right. So this is what I'm gonna say. I feel like the problem is part of the reason why it's like this, and the biggest weakness in a lot of Maeda June's stories has to do with its greatest strength. And so his greatest strength is actually building upon and creating an emotional reaction out of the story and the characters. So he tends to build characters that you grow attached to and like feel an emotional connection with, and then put
Kills
this
them.
sort of twist that makes you feel like it gives you this emotional reaction, whether it's happiness or sadness or sympathy, compassion. And he's very good at that. And he uses music very well because he writes a lot of music for these shows and visual novels. And this is something that is his greatest strength. But at the same time, this is part of his greatest weakness, where the story tends to suffer with all of these, I guess, pacing issues, character development issues. It feels like a lot of the focus is on where his goal is in terms of how the viewer should feel emotionally. But sometimes what is, I guess, the byproduct or the casualty of getting to those heights is that a lot of things that we see in terms of continuity and feeling natural in terms of the flow is what gets sacrificed.
Yeah, I think to your point too, it's like you sort of feel disconnected when you know what the goal is, you know, like where you're like you know where you're starting, you know what the goal is, and you have these like, you know, fairly well built in like middles, but you're feeling this disconnect because there is so much that's going on within that middle ground that you just are feeling sort of left behind because you're getting tugged along in so many different directions. And I think that's the problem with like a lot of his works is that like you have so many things, so many characters, so many feelings that you're trying to like that they're trying to express within that middle, but you still know like where we're going in the end. So I don't know, like to me it's like slightly confusing / like just mild, like it's like overbearing because I know where we're supposed to go. I don't know how we're gonna get there, and I don't know what this like all this stuff in the middle is supposed to have an impact on later on.
Yep.
This most
very
recent
difficult,
episode felt like filler to me. Like it felt like a filler episode in a shonen, and I kind of wish they had just doubled down on the previous episode with like the heavy emotional, not necessarily even just the sad heavy emotional, just heavy emotional aspect of like those characters. I think if they had continued that on, it would have felt a lot better for me. This episode just felt so random. Hina was just like, she's always annoying, but it's the annoying for me. It's the annoying that like your little cousin is like, hey, play with me. And you're like, okay, you're kind of annoying, but at the same time, like you're my cousin and you know, you're kind of cute. So I'll play with you.
I think if anything, this episode sort of just hinted at the fact that Hina has more of a want to develop a relationship. And I forget the main character's name. I don't know.
Guy.
Yota. Thank you. Like it was
Guy.
something. Like she wants to develop this like relationship with Yota, and then like we don't know if it's like a romantic relationship or
Maybe
if
she's
it's like
dying.
a familial relationship, or maybe that is like the end of the
Oh
world.
shit! The end of the world is the end of her world.
It's her world.
I don't.
Oh,
there's probably something
shit,
bigger
dude.
going on. Knowing like
No,
Jude
man.
Midas, something tragic is about
That's
to
pretty
happen.
big. That sounds really sad, honestly. If she just
I mean,
died.
like, no, I don't see that like happening because
No, but if
like,
she suddenly got really sick and died, I'd be pretty sad. That sounds
but she's like feels like disconnected
What if
from
Fuko got
everybody
really
else
sick
because
and
she's.
died?
awesome. Please.
I have some sad news
Oh,
for you,
shit.
buddy. But like, I just
She
feel
lived.
like if anything, this episode just helped us sort of develop this like inkling in our minds that like, oh no, like Hina's gonna be very sad because she can't see Yota in a romantic light or something. I don't know. It's. I feel like it's sort of forced this like subconscious thoughts about Hina that we didn't really care for
Or want.
need. Yes.
Yeah.
Because like this is the episode
or
where Yota finally like does the right thing and like take his own relationship with Kyoko
Sacks up,
into
Yeah,
his,
he has
into his
a
own
chance
as
hands.
they
now.
say.
And like she is kind of, I guess, in a sense, become a little bit more like how he remembers her. In a sense, she's starting to like become more open of a character.
Yeah.
The childhood friend he always had,
Oh
but
shit!
didn't.
Oh no! Don't say
The childhood friend that he needed, but not what he needed.
No.
Oh God!
Never gonna win now.
Oh
Nope.
shit! All right.
It's
Oh,
been
no.
said.
So we'll have
Rippin'
maybe hopefully a better look at what's going on with Kami-sama ni Hatahi next episode. And then finally, let's talk about the journey of Elena, another 2-part episode. So I guess
Hate
the theme
this.
with these 2-part episodes are there's a similar like main
Theme?
aspect or theme that happens. But
The theme is there's the same theme.
in this episode it's conflict between two sides, and then the first half actually we see a little bit about who Nike is, and our suspicions are kind of correct.
Yep.
It's Elena's mother.
Yeah. Oh, you look just like her.
But
Your
apparently,
chest is smaller.
the daughter is not as well endowed.
Yeah. It's too bad.
I don't know, guys. I'm close to dropping this show.
We're almost done.
And it's like I kind of want to finish, but it's like I don't care because it's like what Mark said last week. It's like Disney, and every week is like so predictable, and the stories like aren't that interesting to me. And this week kind of like solidified that for me. It's like we got the same sort of like this story's been told a million different times in a million different ways sort of deal, and the way that they're presenting it to at least me is not that interesting, and it's not different enough for me to be like kind of like super engaged with it. With that said, I'm probably gonna finish the series, but it's just the show started off like very charming, and it has lost the luster for me. And I don't like Elena as a character enough to like care about like why she's doing all these things, and like how they're presenting the story to me just isn't that interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not quite at that point where like I want to drop it yet, but I definitely see where you're coming from though. Like it doesn't seem as like fantastical or like magical as like the first couple of episodes did. And it's like these stories again, like you said, are sort of, you kind of like know what's going to happen ultimately, like whether or not you can guess like how they're going to get there, you sort of like know where the ending is going to come and like when it's going to come. I think that the thing that like is making me continue to watch is that it is sort of still this like very lighthearted like magical journey. And like I keep thinking about the point that like Rolando and Alec made last week, is that like you have to think about this as like a journalistic like this is her ideas of like her adventures, and it's like after you guys said that I was really thinking, I was like, yeah, like that totally makes sense. Like maybe I needed to like step down like my expectations of like what this show should be.
Don't put
and
it on
sort
that
of just-
pedestal.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like I should be thinking about it as like this is just gonna be like some random journeys, and it's just gonna have some whatever mundane stories. And I feel like now that I don't hold it to like this, it needs to have all these like fantasy elements.
must be
It
this
needs to
crazy
be
narrative.
engaging. Yeah, I feel like I'm still like enjoying the show, but I definitely see where you're coming from though. It's like it is getting slightly mundane because I know where things are gonna happen, or like I know where things are gonna end. But I mean, I like Elena. I think she's a good character. So like I'm gonna keep watching it for sure. But I know I know what you're talking about though. Like
So-
sort of feeling that way.
So hear me out here. I think a
No.
big reason why the both of you have an issue with this show has to do with how you both feel about slice of life shows.
Yes, that's exactly it. And then, like, I think that's a big reason as to like my thing with like slice of life shows, and like sorry to like interrupt you, is like I have to know that there's going to be like this, there's going to be a payoff in the slice of life show.
So
And now the payoff is like it's like immediate, and now I'm like, okay, well, I don't
yeah.
know if I felt that great about it.
so a lot of what Drew mentioned in what he doesn't like about this show actually is very similar to what he feels about in terms of like different slice of life shows, and like what I know about what he likes about like various ones. So he doesn't like
Nothing.
Elena's character much. There's not actually very much in terms of Elena's character development in this show, and he tends to like slice of life shows that have characters you care about and a lot of character development. And then Mark, in terms of the slice of life shows, you like stuff that's comfy, makes you feel like you're like you can agree with what's going on despite there not being any plot. And this show has a plot that's easy to see, not too much character development outside of just kind of what you're seeing through Elena's eyes, and in this episode part of it is her mother's eyes. And so I can see why both of you aren't as hooked into the show, because it is pretty much a slice of life show with a purpose, and the purpose
And that's
is to
exactly
tell,
the kind of slice of life I like.
is to tell the story of the journey of Elena. And so ironically, this is the type of slice of show that Alec likes, as he is saying, because there is something that he can see out of it, that he gets out of, he understands and feels immersed into it. And of the slice of life shows that I know Alec has seen and enjoyed, this actually kind of plays into what he likes. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny seeing
Totally.
the
It
difference.
has like an overarching plot that I can follow along with.
That's totally fair.
I want no plot. I just want characters.
You just want
want-
cute
I want
characters
cute
doing
girls
cute things.
Doing cute things.
I want cute characters and some plot. Like, give me something. I don't know. Maybe Rabbit Cafe is sort of bringing me back into that. Like, I don't care about the plot. Just give me some cute characters doing like adorable things.
Rabbit Cafe, Kinero Mosaic. I think those are like good examples of.
But those are very character-driven shows.
Super
Yeah,
character. You know, no substantial.
But it's
plot,
like it's
just hanging
lighthearted
out.
enough where you can just like not care about like anything that's going on, and you just like you just have fun. You know what I mean? Like you just have fun with the characters.
Eurocamp.
Where does-
that's a pretty character-driven show, but
Exactly.
it's very comfy, and
Yeah.
like I can.
I
see why
love
you
that
like it.
show. Where did Restaurant from Another World fit in?
That didn't really have.
Because
an
I like
overarching
that
plot.
show.
Didn't finish it.
That's probably. I would
loved
say
it.
that's probably just like a. There's no overarching plot to that. That's kind of just like
No.
just a feel good like.
It was like comfy, but Mark hated it.
Blend us.
Mark
is
just
another
said
didn't
that
like
he
it.
likes a show that has a little bit of a plot to it.
Oh,
So yeah.
I didn't hate the show. I stopped watching it for like
I
2
don't
weeks. and
fit
then I
into
just
your
couldn't
ideas
continue
of
watching it.
one of
See-
these
see,
three. I
this
like
is-
what I
this is
like.
The thing is like with slice of life shows, there's so many different aspects to them that hooks different people into it. That
Yeah.
there's so many different ones, and you can't really just group everything as just slice of life is bad, because there's so many different things that you can pull out of it, and like everyone has their own tastes. I kind of like a little bit of everything, and tend to watch a lot of them, but there are shows that I just fucking can't stand. Like there's like one this season that I forgot. I kind of dropped it after a bit. It was like a little too. It was like I don't remember which one, but there are shows that I can't stand, even though I'm pretty accepting of like most slice of life. But it's kind of funny seeing like the whole circle, because it's like
Yeah,
Gochi
really,
Usa is airing this season. I know Drew loves that. Mark is starting to get into it. Eurocamp is definitely like something that Mark is into, and then this show is kind of like around Alex Alley. So it's funny to see like the different genres, or I guess subgenres within the genre, and how everyone views it differently.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's a good point, I think, because like Restaurant from Another World is very not like this, but I like it, and I think it's because it's the fantasy aspect, like
You feel immersed.
world, and I like
Yeah.
those worlds, and I feel immersed in those worlds, and I also like cooking shows, like Sweetness and Lightning. Not so much Shokugeki, but
You should watch. It's a
one time.
Shaft show.
At one point.
What is it called?
I know which one you're talking about. It's the one with the girl that like gets really into the cooking stuff. Yeah.
Link Me.
Koku-
That
is it
sounds great.
Kokufu Graffiti or something.
Yeah, there's graffitis in the name. I forgot.
It's a Shaft show, and it is about cooking and
I love
like just comfy slice of life. Not my favorite, but I think you would like it, Alec.
I think so too.
I'll check it out. That sounds fun.
All right. So this turned into a slice of life discussion, but
I do have to say though, this episode compared to the other ones, wasn't as good in my opinion. I still liked it for what it was, but I liked previous episodes better. This one was kind of like, okay, it happened. Let's get another one.
Cool.
So I'll agree there.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up this week's episode. Once again, we're watching High School DxD on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Join our Discord, animeondraft.com/Discord. Please. We would love to interact with you guys. And our website, Anime on Draft, has all of our podcasts and links to our social media. Please go there and listen to our episodes. If you are an audio-only listener and you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever it is, if you could please leave us a 5-star review, do so. If you love us, let us know why. We might read
Give
it
us
on
a
the show.
6-star review.
Or a 6-star review. That's a good point. Our Twitter is at Anime on Draft. Instagram, Anime on Draft Podcast. Any other podcast services that I didn't name, search for Anime on Draft. You might find us. YouTube, Anime on Draft. And then we are streaming every Monday around 7 p.m. Pacific time. It's twitch.tv/Anime on Draft. And then please follow us. Turn on those notifications to be let known when we go live. And if you have any topics, suggestions, maybe you want to recommend an Orishiri show, maybe you want to be on the show, go contact us on our contact page on our website, or hit us up at contact@animeondraft.com. So I think that about wraps up this week's episode. Maybe next week we'll have our monthly wrap up. I have no idea. We'll decide after this episode. But once again, this has been episode 177. Boys, give us one last word from the Mad Lads.
Yeah.
But
All right.
Not really even words,
All
just
right,
sort of
there's no words.
noises.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. We love you all. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, friend.